Good evening. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce a little treat before we recognize the members of the 2014-2015 International Executive Committee. Comedian Tom Dean has never been on The Tonight Show or on Letterman, nor was he ever a contestant on The Last Comic Standing, and it isn't because he's not talented, it's because he can't stay up that late. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please give a warm IRWA welcome to San Diego's funniest senior citizen, Mr. Tom Dean.
Hello, IRWA. Hello. Wow. You ought to see yourselves from up here. This is a good-looking group. Now, fashionably dressed, hair beautifully coiffured, jewelry shining in the light. And you ladies look real good too, let me tell you. They asked me to wear a tux, and I don't own one, so this is a rental. How does it look, okay? Now, have you heard of the Men's Warehouse? I got this at the old Men's Warehouse. They make clothes for guys my age. They sell things that are specially designed for people my age. For example, this jacket, lined with Ben Gay. Let's get this off the table. First of all, let's talk about my age. I know you're dying to find out. I'm actually very proud to tell you that in a couple of months, I'll be celebrating my 78th birthday. Thank you. My wife told me that she doesn't have 78 candles at home. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the kitchen and she's going to sing happy birthday to me and then light the oven. I hope you've had a successful and fun time here in our fair city in San Diego. Wasn't it good? That's great. You know, when I was still working, I used to attend about 2, maybe 3 of these professional conferences every year. But now that I'm retired, I only attend one. That's the annual meeting of the NARP HSTCI. I guess this group wouldn't be members. The NARP HSTI is the National Association of Retired Persons Happily Spending Their Children's Allowance. Our motto is, if we don't go first class, the kids will. But you know what, my wife and I, we really didn't intend to be spending our children's inheritance. But we didn't really count on the cost of living going up so high as it did. I mean, everything is more expensive now. Food, clothing, housing, of course, gasoline. Even movies. Have you been to the movies recently, anybody? Holy cow. We went the other night. It's terrible. We went to the local multiplex. You know those, my wife really doesn't like a multiplex. The thing is, it's, they got 30 theaters in one lady's restroom. Anyway, we went up to the box office and I said, I'd like to have 2 senior tickets, please. And she said, that'll be $30, please. I said, $30? She says, well, it's in 3D. I said, I don't care if it's in fiddly D. $30, that's too much. But that was one thing, that was the sticker shock. But when we walked into the lobby and went up to the concession stand, then I knew we were in trouble. Yeah, I knew it was going to be expensive when I saw that old guy behind the desk next to the cashier. It turned out to be a retired U.S. senator selling reverse mortgages. Now this here plan we've got, it's going to be enough there for you to buy that jumbo popcorn and a giant Coca-Cola with unlimited refills. But if you do spend the money to go to the movies today, what do you get for your money? I'll tell you what you get. Movies that I'd be ashamed to take Charles Manson to see. All right? It's gotten so bad now that the Hollywood, I don't know if you heard about this, but Hollywood is now changing its rating code. You know, we've got the 5 categories of ratings. What is there? There's the G rating, PG, PG-13, R, and something called NC-17. Well, they've just added a 6th one now. I don't know if you heard about this. It's W. That stands for Watch for Cops. It's terrible. My wife, I don't know why I even spend the money to take my wife to the movies because she just falls asleep. We've been married for 54 years, and she has never seen the second half of any movie. It's true. She's never seen the second half of any movie, ever. You think I'm kidding? Do you know the Judy Garland famous Wizard of Oz film? To this day, my wife thinks that that's a black and white film about a Kansas farm girl who dies in a tornado. Financially, I'm doing okay in my retirement. I have my pension and I have Social Security. But you know what? If you're living on a fixed income, come the end of the month when it's bill paying time, sometimes things can get a little dicey. So back in January, I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna see if I can find a part-time job. And I found one that I really liked. I was hired as a greeter at a medical marijuana clinic. It's kind of a weird place to work. My first day on the job, I'm in the lobby and a guy came through the door, so I said, hi. He says, not yet, dude, but I'm working on it. The clients there at the clinic, they seemed to like me, particularly when they found out I was a grandfather. You see, these folks appreciate the 3 main characteristics of being a grandparent. Number 1, we're never judgmental. 2, we also have issues with short-term memory loss. And 3, we usually have munchies with us. But here in San Diego, the city has been clamping down on these clinics, and the next thing you know, I got laid off. Well, I'm a determined cuss. I went out looking for another job, and I'm very happy to report to you tonight that I now work for a local Catholic church. I'm a bouncer at their Thursday night bingo games. Yeah. Well, you know, if you know any bingo players, you know these folks can get a little nutty once in a while. Last week, I had to eject an 88-year-old great-grandmother. What she had done is she snuck up on this elderly gentleman who was sleeping in between games, and she activated his life alert button. The paramedics were not amused. I try to get out of the house as often as I can, and one of my favorite places to go is Costco. I love Costco. I try to get there at lunchtime. Don't get ahead of me. Anyway, I try to get there around lunchtime, and I cruise those free food sample stations they've got there. You know, the ladies with the hair nets and the visors. You know, if you play your cards right, you can get a whole meal in that place. They try to discourage you from taking more than one sample, but I have no shame. I mean, I show up with my own plate and a bottle of ketchup. But when she's there, my favorite person to see there is the lady who's giving out samples of something called naked juice. You know what naked juice is? I don't like naked juice, but at my age, being able to stand next to a woman who keeps using the word naked is about as exciting as my life gets these days. Costco is also a great place to people watch. What I do is I get a basket and I put a few things in it and I go around the store and I watch what other people have in their baskets. And from that, it's a little game I play. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in their lives. Like the other day, I saw this woman. She had 2 100-pound bags of rice in her cart. And I thought, okay, here's a lady that either she owns an Asian restaurant or she is a permanent bridesmaid for the Kardashian family. Then there was this family, another family, the husband and wife and kids, and they had 60 rolls of toilet paper. And I saw that and I thought, now here's a family that should really cut back on the amount of fiber in their diet. Oh, by the way, this is true. I don't know if you know this. Do you know what they sell at Costco now? Caskets. I'm not making this up. They sell caskets. The thing is that they come shrink wrapped, 3 to a pack. I'm a sucker for a bargain, so I bought a pack. So now I have one for myself, one for my wife, and from the looks of a couple of you out there, you might want to see me after the show about making a deal with that third one. My health is good. Well, except for an old injury that I sustained while serving our country in the United States Navy. Thank you. I should explain, though, it was not a life-threatening injury, but you know what? All these years later, it still bothers me every time I hear a towel snap. Healthcare, of course, healthcare is very important to people my age, and which is why I joined one of those HMOs, Kaiser Permanente. You know Kaiser Permanente? By the way, I looked it up. I found out that, oh, there you go. I found out that Permanente is actually an old Spanish word that loosely translated means, yes, we have doctors, no, you can't see one. No, it's true. I called up to make my first appointment. I asked the woman on the phone, I said, which doctor am I going to see? She said, you're not going to see a doctor. You're going to see a physician's assistant. A physician's assistant? I thought, great. Now I get to turn my head and cough for some guy's caddy. Technology is another issue for people, particularly for me. It's changing all the time. I can't keep up with it. I mean, you're looking at a guy who's still trying to figure out how Etch-a-Sketch works. But I did resist getting a cell phone for a long time. I mean, I thought they're kind of intrusive. They're always going off at the wrong time. But I finally, I gave in and I bought a cell phone. And I have to admit that these devices are pretty amazing. The one I got is both a telephone and a camera. Don't tell me I'm not cutting edge. Anyway, the problem I'm having is that the button for the telephone is right next to the button for the camera. Now, I don't know if any of you are interested in seeing that, but I now have 185 pictures of my right ear. Technology changing all the time. The newest thing, have you seen this? Called the Fitbit. Do you know the Fitbit? How many people here are wearing a Fitbit? Huh? Well, if you haven't know what a Fitbit is, you wear it like a watch. Well, it is partly a watch on your wrist. And what it measures your how many steps you take each day, how far you've walked, how many calories you burned. It even measures how you sleep and how you get a good night's sleep with the thing. It's amazing. Well, I don't know if you saw the paper this morning in the business section, but the company has announced that they're now coming out with a senior citizens version of the Fitbit. It's called the Gas Pass. It measures, well, the article referred to it as gastric incidence. And it comes with in 2 modes. Well, first of all, you wear it around your waist like a belt. And the 2 modes, one of the modes is called the audio mode, and that measures sound, if you get my drift. It even has the ability to pick up pitch. That's how you find out what key that last one was in. Hey, look, Larry, a B flat major. And the other mode is called the SBD mode. That means silent but deadly. And that comes in handy, according to the company, when you are in a social situation, like a cocktail party. Everybody's kind of standing around, and suddenly there is a gastric incident, and you are not the perpetrator. A little flag comes out of the belt and points to the person who was the perpetrator. You might want to back off that bean dip, Edna. Yeah? I ride public transportation here in San Diego a lot, and buses and trolleys, and I see a lot of young people, most of them students, and they're watching movies on their cell phones. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. I would really love to be able to do that, see movies on my cell phone. So I called up our family expert on all issues involving technology, our 11-year-old grandson. You got one too, huh? Anyway, I told him, I said, I'd like to see movies on my cell phone. How do I do that? He said, it's easy, Grandpa. You just need an app for that. Now, I love the kid, but I don't think he knows what he's talking about. I took a 2-hour nap, and I still can't see movies on my cell phone. Listen, it's way past my bedtime. You've been a terrific audience. Thank you very much, IRWA. Good night.